All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Washington Hospitality Association's webinar podcast with Rick Braa of the Advisory Network. And today we're talking about the PPP, EIDL, forgiveness programs, all of those things that Rick has a presentation set for us, so he'll be sharing that right now. And with that, Rick, I'll hand it off to you.
Awesome, thanks, Lex. So today's presentation is based on questions from the Washington Hospitality Association. And Lex, you're seeing my slide? Okay, great, awesome. So as Lex mentioned, my name is Rick Braa. I am the principal CEO of a company called AMP Services out of Seattle, Washington. And we specialize in accounting and management consulting for primarily multi-unit restaurant companies. So we're very deep in the niche. So I wanted to start out this morning, talk a little bit about the Paycheck Protection Program. There's been over 5.2 million loans through August 8th when the program was shut down, totaled about $525 billion. And in Washington alone, there are 108,000 loans totaling about $12.5 billion. Just to put that in perspective, the SBA typically handles somewhere around 50 to 60,000 loans a year and somewhere around $20 to $30 billion. So you add this to the EIDL and you're talking about 900 billion in loans and about somewhere around 9 million loans. So considerable load on the SBA, and I think that's what we've all been experiencing as far as unclarity and delays and different rules changing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. All right, so first question was, what are the coverage periods? So there are several different ways to look at this. The first is the traditional coverage period or the standard coverage period, which is the funding date. Whenever you got the money in the bank, the clock started ticking and you had 167 days from that point. So during that period of time, payments that are incurred and paid count towards the forgiveness period and the usage in that coverage period. So if you, for example, were to get a bill from April and you got your loan in May and the utility bill came in and was paid in May, that would be in your coverage period. So that can get a little bit tricky down as we get down towards the end of the loans, which is what triggered this conversation. So the alternative coverage period is something that came a little bit later, introduced a little bit later, and that was basically beginning with the next payroll cycle. If you pay at least weekly or bi-weekly, you were allowed, for example, if you got funded on the 5th and your payroll period didn't start until the 10th, you could start your coverage period on the 10th rather than on the 5th when you got funded. So that has advantages and disadvantages, and you need to analyze because there can be a difference in how much payroll is actually paid in that particular pay time. So some people want the coverage period to be a standard coverage period. Some people want an alternative coverage period. It depends on when you pay your payroll. So that needs to be analyzed pretty thoroughly, and you can always choose anything between 18 and 24 weeks if you like, but it can end no later than December 31st, which has been a little bit of a surprise, I think, to some people, because they thought that the PPP went through, some people thought the PPP went through December 31st, and it's actually maximized at 24 weeks. And if you got a loan after July 17th, you're actually losing a few weeks of your 24-week period if that's the period that you chose, because it has to end by December 31st.